My screenwriting lecturer once told me, make the most of your big moments. Or make your big moments matter. I don't know, I was quite hungover at the time, it was something like that. Anyway, the best example of this is Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and the 2 episodes at the end of season 13, Charlie's home alone and the gang wins the big game. Now, these 2 episodes are 2 of the greatest feel-good episodes of any TV show I've ever seen. And it's for this reason. It matters. This show makes its big moments matter more than any other show I've ever seen. And it's for 2 reasons. Now, the first one is scarcity. Always Sunny in Philadelphia succeeds where a lot of other comedies fall down, in that it doesn't have these big feel-good emotional moments all the time. So when they happen, they actually mean something, and are utilised to their full emotional impact. A lot of comedies, such as Friends, The US Office, Scrubs, most of them in fact, end every episode on an emotional moment where the characters give life lessons. And the characters learn, some old bollocks about something or other, and sad music plays, and like hipster rock plays, and they all become better people, what have you.
But in the end, the most important thing to accept is that no matter how alone you feel, how painful it may be, with the help of those around you, you'll get through this too.
All that bollocks. And it's nice, but after a while, you just get used to these feel-good moments, so they just become part of the show. And then soon they don't even make you feel good anymore. And then they just get annoying, really. And then these heartwarming moments, they leave your heart cold. They're not heartwarming anymore. They're heart freezing. It's freezing. This isn't helped by the fact that usually American comedies let a show go on much longer than they should do, and end up draining the show for all its emotional content in order to fill episodes where they're low on ideas. This is best seen in the US Office and Parks and Recreation, where the last episodes are basically like a checklist of all the characters saying they love each other and almost all getting their happy endings. Not in that way. It was emotional moment after emotional moment, character after character, just rinse and repeat, until you're glad that the fucking show is over, until you're only watching to say you've watched it to the end. Now, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is different to most comedies. It's seen by some as the anti-sitcom. Unlike most comedies, the characters don't really grow all that much, and the characters don't really learn lessons. So we get far less of these moments. In fact, when the main characters are presented with opportunities to learn and grow, most of the time they actively reject them. This means on the few occasions when they actually grow and learn, and when we get a feel-good moment, it actually means something. For example, when Matt comes out as gay, or when Dennis tells his sister that he loves her, or when Charlie and the waitress finally have it away. It's unexpected, and it makes you feel good. And in each of these moments, they're immediately followed up by a cynical moment, which is consistent with the tone of the show. The second way Always Sunny makes its moments matter is by giving moments context. So we know why these moments matter. We know what these moments actually mean. As you may know from the show's title, its opening credits, and the characters' actions, Philadelphia is very important to the show and its characters, up to a point where for a long time Charlie hasn't even left Philadelphia. Furthermore, the Eagles are established as important to these characters, the Eagles being Philadelphia's football team. An episode is even based around 3 of them trying out for the team. This audience know the characters love their city. They know they love their city's football team. So the audience know how big the stakes are in this episode when the Philadelphia Eagles play the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. The episodes themselves take place before the events of season 13 and is foreshadowed in the past tense at times throughout the previous episodes in the series.
And then I moved to Minnesota and I waited on you guys at the Super Bowl.
And these episodes were filmed while Dennis was currently away raising his son. and the actor Glenn Hawthorne, I think is how you pronounce his name. He was off doing some show. I don't know. I didn't watch it. In the episode Charlie's Home Alone, the gang are leaving for the Super Bowl 53, with Charlie looking for his Green Man suit to fulfill his tradition of eating brown, drinking yellow, and wearing green, which Charlie believes has led to the Philadelphia Eagles winning their games all season. This leads to the gang leaving Charlie behind, while Frank, Dee, Mac get on the bus with Rickety Cricket, Bill Ponderosa, Uncle Jack, Ben the Soldier, Rex and the waitress as they go to the Super Bowl. The rest of the episode sees Charlie trying to fulfill his colour ritual, showing how important it is to him. At the end of the episode, Charlie fulfills his ritual and sees that Tom Brady has the ball with time on the clock. And I know fuck all about American football, but the fact that Charlie's willing to bung his leg back in the rat trap, probably means that it's bad for the old Philadelphia. The next episode, the gang wins the big game, sees the rest of the characters on the bus. Straight away, we establish the main theme of the episode, being proud of where you're from. We get the context straight away of what this episode is about. This is shown by the fact Mac thinks these odd characters will shame Philadelphia and invites Rex to make Philadelphia look good. However, Frank thinks these characters are what makes Philadelphia great, and these opposing views about how to feel about the place where you're from are explored in the episode. In the bus, they play the theme for Rocky, on repeat as Max says there aren't many songs written about Philadelphia. Establishing Philadelphia as the underdog, the fact that they've resorted to playing the theme song about a fictional character from their city to have an anthem is something that's made fun of by people who make fun of Philadelphia, and it can be heard in Bill Burr's legendary Philadelphia rant where he was performing and he was getting heckled, so he trashed them for 15 minutes.
Bunch of fucking losers. Fucking Rocky is your hero. The whole pride of your city is built around a fucking guy who doesn't even exist.
By the way, it's not true that there's not many songs written about Philadelphia. There's loads of songs about Philadelphia. There's Motown Philly. There's Philadelphia Freedom, Elton John. There's the song from the film about the gays who had AIDS, Streets of Philadelphia, yeah. It's loads of them. Anyway, but this song gives the episode further context. It's establishing them as underdogs. It's establishing that they are going up, as Max says, against one of the most successful organisations in organised sports, behind Liverpool FC, of course. And I think in the extended version of the episode, you hear Max saying that, but that's what he was saying anyway. Yeah. But again, we're establishing Philadelphia are the underdogs. And we also established the fact that Philadelphia is known for its anger when Max says, save the booing for the Patriots, establishing what a lot of people associate Philadelphia with. Many times throughout the show, Philadelphia and its anger is referenced. A great example of this is in the episode The World Series Defence. Frank's got a kidney stone and asks Mac to take him to the toilet. Now, Mac realises that every time he takes Frank to the toilet, the Eagles score, so he decides that Frank has to stay in the toilet and piss out the kidney stone. And it's weird, I have like the opposite thing when I go to the toilet. Every time I go to the toilet, it ensures that I don't score. That's weird, strange. Anyway, so as the episode goes on, the Eagles look like they're going to lose. Cricket, Uncle Jack, Ponderosa the waitress, and Rex all leave the box. Mac wanted them to stay in the box as he didn't want them getting out and bringing down the reputation of Philadelphia. When everyone leaves the box, Mac gives a speech about being ashamed of being from Philadelphia and how the people of Philadelphia are filled with rage, which Bill Burr experienced in that aforementioned Philadelphia gig. This makes Frank give an inspiring speech about the people of Philadelphia who feel disappointed with their lives, putting all their hope into their team that let them down, and then they get angry. But if they can utilise that rage, then they can feel something different. And then Frank is about to lose his point, like he did before in the high school reunion part 2. But then he doesn't.
What? What will then you make us Those guys, the whole city of Philadelphia, could feel like champions.
It looks like the Philadelphia Eagles are gonna win, and everyone goes back to the box. This is when Mac tells everyone how he was wrong and that they're great representations of Philadelphia. A genuinely nice moment that is immediately undone by a cynical moment, as Uncle Jack tells Mac that Tom Brady has the ball and that there's time left on the clock. Meanwhile, Dee, who's been allowed to leave the box due to Mac feeling her eye infection is not really nice to look at, has put a staff apron on her, leading her to be mistaken for a staff member. She bumps into a towel boy, she wipes her eye on the towel, and the towel is taken to Tom Brady. It's made abundantly clear through the commentator that Tom Brady is wiping his face with that towel, and his vision might have been impaired. As it looks like all hope could be lost, Mac makes a call to Charlie and tells him to do his superstition that he mocked him for in the previous episode. As he does this, the Rocky theme comes in again. Again, as we've previously established, it being significant to the characters and the city of Philadelphia, it has the proper context for it to mean something. Because this moment has been given its proper context, it's been established how important this moment is to the characters. And then something uncharacteristic from the show happens. As unlike the other rare, fleeting, emotional moments in the show, this isn't followed up by a cynical moment. We get a montage of Philadelphia fans coming together and celebrating all over the city, really hitting home how much this moment means to the people of Philadelphia.
And incomplete! And the game is over! What a tremendous Super Bowl. It is still a mystery as to what happened with Brady's eye that had to have an effect on his play late in the game. What a win for the Eagles, and what a win for the city of Philadelphia.
It's the second best celebration I've ever seen. Obviously, what number one is. Plus, another reason why it's quality is because Brandy, Cody, and the Young Bucks are also at the game, so I like to think that they are also part of the celebration. However, there's also a completely different reason I love this episode. And that's this episode's second message. That is, as well as being proud of where you're from, be proud of who you are. The two characters that are always mocked the most for being weird throughout the show are Charlie and Dee. In this episode, these two characters are actually the ones that save the day. They are both told by Mac not to be who they are, and in both of these episodes, they ignore him, and them ignoring them probably gave them one of the biggest moments and the biggest victories that their city has ever experienced. Throughout your life, one of the biggest things you're taught is to conform, whether that's directly or subconsciously. You're taught to conform to how either maybe your parents want you to behave, or your teachers want you to behave, or by how society wants you to behave. And in most comedies, the eccentric characters are slowly normalised to conform throughout the show until most of the time they're just seen as normal. And ultimately, them becoming normal is the sign of growth. It's seen as aspirational, that these weird characters now are normal like all the rest of the characters, and that's seen as progress. And most of the time they have a point. Being a contributing and responsible member of society is a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that's always a good thing. But it doesn't mean you can't do that and also be yourself. As long as you're not dangerous, as long as you're not harming anyone, or racist or anything like that, be who you are. Be yourself. And if people think you're weird, whatever. Have what interest you want. Have what aspirations you want. Listen to the podcast that you want. Watch the YouTube channels that you want. Listen to them twice. Share them. Leave nice comments. Leave so many comments that people think you're weird. Share them so many times that people will think, oh, what's this person doing? But don't take any notice of them. Just keep listening to the podcast and viewing the videos and liking and subscribing. Be who you are, basically. Be who you are. Another thing that emphasises the theme of being proud of who you are is Dennis is the only one of the gang who misses out on this moment. The character who often thinks of himself as above the gang, who is most embarrassed by who his friends are and blames them for making him the way he is. And this embarrassment has led him to leave the rest of the gang momentarily. And by doing this, he misses maybe their greatest moment. However, don't take this as life advice, because the reason he misses the moment is because for once he's actually done the right thing and decides to raise his son. So the moral of this episode could be, don't do the right thing. So don't let this show or this video influence how you live your life. It's just a bit of comedy, it's just a bit of content. Anyway, that's why I love these episodes.